Taddy Blazusiak leaving gas and racing Endurocross on a Stark? Should you consider one for Enduro or Hard Enduro? And are these high-end electric bikes good options for these disciplines? Can they compete at the highest level? And will the governing bodies like FIM and AMA even let them? Now, e-bikes are huge. You can get your mom a cruiser one, you can buy a specialized turbo Levo for over 15 grand, and there's everything in between. They are a big hit in the bicycle world, and of course there's some purists and some division, but it doesn't seem like anything like the division in the dirt bike world. It seems like people are in one camp or the other. Somehow there's a huge divide and a lot of people won't consider them ever. My thought is a lot of these electric dirt bikes do suck. They have super low-end components and don't have standard dirt bike parts that normal ones have, like even wheel sizes that are correct. Now these companies, they can't really be considered. They're offering a totally different product, and if you have fun on it, that's great, but make no mistake, it's not a competitive dirt bike that can run with the KTMs and Yamahas of the world. So right now, the closest bike we have is the Stark Varg. But is it any good for Endurocross or Hard Enduro? Can they be competitive? Now, will top pros get hole shots, win races, look amazing riding them? Yeah, of course. I mean, a lot of them will ride a clapped out TTR and rip. I don't think that's the issue that the pros are going to have on them. And I'll touch on what they need to improve them in a minute, and same thing goes for regular guys too, if they want to buy one. But it'll be more about if they're actually allowed to race. First, rules. FIM and AMA are not exactly sure how to deal with these things yet. Can you limit the horsepower? Yeah, but that's only one real determining factor. What about the lack of noise? When riding in your backyard, that's great, but when making passes on a silent bike, pretty sketchy. Now, I think the governing bodies should let them in, but they need to have a companion app that goes with the Stark app that shows what horsepower mode they're in for the correct CC class. That's doable. But the other big thing that nobody seems to be talking about is they need to address the noise, or the lack thereof it. They don't just want like a horn or something, but they need something that works in conjunction with the throttle like a normal bike. That way, the competition can gauge the distance and speed they would, like they would on a combustion bike. I think without this rule, I don't think they should be allowed to race. It's just too sketchy, not safe. Now, what needs to change bike-wise? I think in order of importance, number one, battery range. Now, with current technology, we're pretty limited right now. The Alta that came out years ago has just minorly less range. The battery range is only better on the Stark because of cooling and management and software. The core battery tech remains the same. And on that note, the Hard Enduro tests that I've seen for range, I've kind of maxed out at 60 kilometers, 37-ish miles. Number two, weight. Batteries are heavy. Really doesn't matter in a car, but if you're looking for a lightweight, high-performance dirt bike, this can be a big issue. Right now, if you want more range, you gotta add some more weight, or the technology has to evolve. Number three, clutch. The Stark does not have a clutch, but some other bikes do, most notably Electric Motion. They make electric trials bikes primarily and have clutches. They also have tick-over, which allows the bike to creep forward, which I think would be key in hard enduro situations, along with the clutch. And number four, charging or swapping batteries. Right now, to swap the battery on a Stark, it's just not quickly possible. So if you're doing a lap, you run out of range, you are out of luck, and it's going to take a few hours to charge. Now there's a few other companies, DIY kits that drop into Yamaha chassis where you're able to swap out the batteries, but definitely not as convenient as pouring gas in, and kind of DIY. So will people buy them and race them in masses? I do think this will eventually happen, once most of the issues that I talked about are addressed. Obviously it's not for everybody, but I think regular people will probably consider them. But even then, like any tech, for change to be greatly adopted, it has to be better than what it's replacing. Also, bonus points if it's better and cheaper. Now, we dirt bikers are a pretty traditional bunch. I mean, people are still arguing about 2 strokes versus 4 strokes, and I don't think that debate's ever going to end. But until these tech issues are resolved, it's still just going to be a novelty bike that some people use in their backyards. Now, I do see a lot of positives in the Stark right now, though. I mean, there's less mechanical parts, less maintenance, probably easier to ride, no stalling, and you're able to ride in more areas. As for the pros that are going on board, it seems like Stark's going after kind of notable, retired, or on the edge of retirement big names. My guess is that there's no way they could go after big names without actually knowing where they're going to race these bikes. Therefore, Taddy, Justin Hill, Justin Bogle, that aren't tied to factory teams, are going to be who they have to choose from, until the tech catches way up. I'm definitely a tech nerd, and I can't wait to see all this stuff evolve. Not just from the Stark side, but from the traditional OEM side. And I really want to test one of these things. But for me to buy one, it's got to be better than my KTM 300 TBI. I need to be able to ride it as far or further. It has to be about the same weight or less, and have swappable batteries. Then, maybe, sign me up. But until then, I'll just be mixing some gas.